word builders. I didn't see you there. Mabel and I were just talking. We were talking about you, actually. Yeah, you. How amazing you have been doing in writing and all of your assignments at writing your name on different things. You've remembered to write your name on your writing and on some of your other work, and that is so great. It's like you really own your name, and it's like you really own the letters in your name. When you own your name, or when you own the letters in your name, you get to walk around the world and say, I've got this, every time you read or write your name, and even some other words. For example, I think I've learned to write Mabel's name pretty well by now. Yeah, I've got this. A, B, E, L. Yeah, I know how to write Mabel's name. I've got this. I feel like I own the letters in Mabel's name because I'm able to write them. I've got this. Now I wonder if you can do that with your name. If you can write and say all of the letters in your name, then shout, I've got this. It is so cool to know your own name by heart. That will help you do more things in reading and writing, as well as other things in life, like learning new things. You can even use reading and writing in science and social studies and other subjects that you guys might really love, like math. Today I want to teach you that when you know your name by heart, you own the first letter, and maybe even some of the other letters in your name. And when you own a letter, you can teach what you know to someone else. Miss Jones with us, our reading teacher. You probably recognize her from the reading lesson videos. Miss Jones, I want to ask you, do you know your name so well that you could teach us or tell us about the first letter?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Miss Jones to write the first letter of her name. Now, Miss Jones' name starts with a J, so she's going to write the letter J. The letter J in Jones says J, like jelly beans. Miss Jones, you may write the letter J.
I like green, so I picked the green color.
Here
I go.
She's going down and hook up. Then a line across. Does this look like the J's that you've seen? Let's write another one, Miss Jones.
Okay.
This time, I want you guys to write it at the same time. Ready? Go ahead, Miss Jones.
I'm going to go over here because there's more space. Ready, boys and girls?
Write it with your magic finger. Line down, hook up. And then at the top, a line across. Miss Jones is going to scoot over so that you can see her beautiful J's. Beautiful J's, Miss Jones. J for Jones, but J could also be for, what else? Can you think of any J words?
Ooh, I like to jump.
Jump is a perfect J word. Can you think of one more?
I also like to juggle.
Ooh, Miss Jones can jump and juggle. Jump and juggle have the same J sound that Jones does. Thank you, Miss Jones. See you later.
Bye, Miss Davenport.
We learned that the J in Jones says J, like jelly beans, jump and juggle. But I have something so special to tell you. My friend, Javier, just called me. He called me and it reminded me that Javier knows his name starts with a J and Miss Jones' name starts with a J. But Javier's J says and Jones' J says J. They're both right. Javier has a Spanish name, and in Spanish, the J says I was able to learn that because I learned Javier's name. Learning Javier's name taught me another thing about letters. In other languages, letters can say different sounds. In Spanish, J says. That's why it's so important when you meet somebody to ask them how to say their name. Their letter sounds may sound differently than the letter sounds that you're used to. Today we looked at the first letter of names, but our names have other letters in them too. And if we want to be able to get all of those letters in our back pocket so that we can use them and eventually write them all by heart, we have to practice hearing the sounds. We need to hear the sounds in our whole name, not just the first sound. So let's practice it with this name. We're going to stretch out the name Mabel. We're going to use a technique that first graders use to really stretch out names and words. So we're going to stretch out the name Mabel. I'm going to show you on my arm. Mabel. do it one more time. Let's listen for all of the sounds in Mabel's name. Mabel. I'm so glad that we were able to stretch out Mabel's name. Now Mabel was able to hear the B and L sounds in her name and not just the sound. Now that she has the B and L sounds, she can write words like bubblegum and lollipop, which are Mabel's favorite candies. Let's clap the syllables in Mabel's name to see if we can hear the sounds again. Mabel. Can you clap the syllables or the beats with me? Mabel. Let's do it one more time. Mabel. Mabel has 2 beats or syllables. I hope you heard all of the sounds that you heard when we stretched it out. Mabel. Mabel. I can really hear the B, and L that make up Mabel's name. Now let's try hearing the sounds while we write Mabel's name. We read it and heard the sounds. We stretched it out and heard the sounds, and we clapped the syllables and heard the sounds. Let's see if we can hear them while I write it. Friends, I made a mistake on my M, so I'm starting over. I heard the sounds while I wrote it. Did you hear the sounds? Mabel. We can stretch out our reading just like we stretched out Mabel on our arms so that we can hear all of the sounds. Kindergartners, the great news for today is that because you're working so hard to stretch out and hear all of the sounds in your own name, you have a lot more letters that you're going to be able to use in your writing. It's time for Fast Phonics. You might notice that our letter wall is really growing. These are all of the letters that we have learned so far, letters that we might already have in our back pockets, and maybe some of them that we're still practicing. We also have 2 words so far, I and can. I can. That almost makes a whole sentence. So since we have so many letters in our word bank, I think it's time to go over them and talk about the sounds that they make. So if you know the sounds, say them with me. A for apple, ah, ah, ah. B for bat, b, b, b. C for camel, k, k, k. D for dolphin, d, d, d. E for egg, eh, eh, eh. F for fire, f, f, f. G for guitar, g, g, g. H for hippo, h, h, h. I for insect, I, I, I. J for jump, j, j, j. K for koala, k, k, k. L for lemon, M for map, N for nest, It's time to talk about our letters and our words. You might notice that I put in the words that we've already learned, that were in our word bank. That's because we learned these words, but we need to keep practicing them and studying them so that we really own I and can. We can read it, write it, and use it. But first, let's talk about our letters, O and P. Let's study them. Let's start with the letter O. Let's name it O. Let's sound it ah. O says ah, like octopus. We used it to make the word octopus, but let's use it to make another word. Can you think of a word that starts with the sound ah, like octopus? I'm thinking of the word on and the word off. You can turn your iPad on and off. Those words start with the sound ah, like octopus. We named it, we sounded it, we used it. Now let's write the letter O. O is probably my favorite letter to write. We start at the top and go around like a circle. That's an uppercase O. Let's write a lowercase o. We still start at the top and go around like a circle. Both of these are O's. The uppercase O is bigger than the lowercase o. Now let's study our letter P. First we name it P. Now we sound it. P, P. P says P, like piano. In your head, can you think of other words that start with the P sound? I can think of something I love to eat for breakfast that starts with P. Can you guess what I'm thinking? Pancakes. I like to eat pancakes for breakfast, and they start with P. Potato also starts with P and is also great with breakfast. Now let's write the letter P. We start at the top. We draw a line down, and then we go around. Uppercase P, lowercase p. Line down, and then around. Uppercase O is bigger, lowercase o is smaller. Uppercase P is bigger, lowercase p is smaller. I'm sure you noticed how the uppercase letters are tall letters, and these lowercase letters are small. The O is small, and the P is a fall letter. It falls below the line. We have tall letters, small letters, and fall letters. So when you see a tall letter, you know to stand up big and tall. When you see a small letter, you know to make yourself small. And when a letter falls below the line, it's a fall letter. You can touch your hands to the ground. Now let's study our words that we've already talked about, I and can. To study our words, we're going to read them, spell them, and write them. Let's read the word I. I. Let's spell the word I. I just has one letter. It's spelled I, and it's always uppercase. Now let's write the word I. I draw a line down, and then across, across. I. Now let's study the word can. Let's read it. Can. Read it with me. Can. Let's spell the word can. The word can has 3 letters. C-A-N. Now you say them when I point to them. C-A-N. That spells can. Let's write the word can. C goes around and stops. A circle and a line. In, down, up and down. We wrote the words I and can. When we put these together, they say I can. Can is the word we use when we're talking about things that we can or things that we are able to do. I can teach. You can learn. I'm going to make these into a sentence because right now it just says I can, but I want to tell you what I can do. I'm going to write I can hop. I can hop is my sentence. It's true, I can hop, and I sounded out all of the sounds in the word hop. Up. And I wrote down the letters that I thought would spell hop. Up. Today we learned how to own the first letter of your own name and maybe even some of the other letters. We talked about stretching out our name and clapping out the syllables so that we can hear all of the sounds. Once you know all of the sounds in your own name, you're able to use that in your reading and writing. I hope that you can do that, word builders.